Okay, Dr. Calleman, we are placed here at a very interesting place called the Brandenburger Tor in Berlin, and you can say it's something to do with east and west, and we had the wall removed between the two, you can say, hemispheres of Berlin or the world, or what you say. And it's also very interesting when we talk about brain hemispheres in the human brain, and on the bigger scale, you can say, when we talk about the Mayan calendar and the world tree and so. What do you think when you are here at the Brandenburger Tor with relating to all what you are researching in and writing about?
Well, I think it's a very exciting place to be, to begin with. Berlin is interesting, Germany is interesting, but you know, at the heart of it all is this place where the wall used to separate the eastern and the western Berlin, and so it's not an accident that that wall came to go right here. It has to do with the fact that there is a more objective basis for a line, you might say, that separates the the western and eastern hemispheres, and this line, it goes from essentially down from Cape Town up through Central Africa, through Rome, through Berlin, through Copenhagen, essentially through Trondheim, and then up to the North Pole. And I was here to celebrate New Year's right after the wall had fallen, first of January 1990, which was an absolutely amazing time. Where you could really sort of literally feel the fact that now the boundaries that have for so long had been sort of frozen here were removed. And I was then on the other side, but it was this time when the wall would go up until Brandenburger Tor here, and at that time people would sort of just walk up on the wall, go back down on one side, and then up on the wall and down on the other side, and just to get the feeling of this fact that it was now possible to pass between these two, what previously had been completely separate worlds, actually. And and there is then in the Mayan calendar an understanding that the world is divided in hemispheres, and that they are characterized by different qualities of thinking, of spiritual qualities, and so forth. And because this particular city is located on this division line between hemispheres, it also means then that its history has been colorful, to say the least. We all know the destructive center this has been, but we can also today see it as a very much of a unifying center of different qualities in the world.
I remember Ronald Reagan, he said to Gorbachev, let's tear down this wall. Is it time to tear down another wall now, the wall between the two brain hemispheres, to make people become more united again and a oneness, and on a bigger sense, you know, we are, yeah.
Yeah, I think this really, the fall of the wall in Berlin, it was more or less only a beginning, so to speak. And the world is still basically polarized in the sense that essentially the Western Hemisphere still dominates the world, and it's also that, you know, domination as such is a fact of our world, and these are walls that in the time ahead I expect will be torn down in a much more deeper sense. And I think there is an economic development going on, or to bring these kind of changes about.
Okay, and when we think about the so-called finance crisis, which you can say had started a lot of things. You predicted that to start in November 2007. And you were very precise, you can say very precise indeed.
Yeah.
But what do you expect now when we are heading towards a new shift in November 2009? What is your scenario? Where are we heading?
Yeah, I think there will be an even deeper crisis for anything that's sort of based on abstract economical values. And so, I'm probably not the only one who expects in the time ahead a considerably weakening of the American dollar. And from that we probably will expect some new rearrangement must be made to replace it that will reflect a new relationships in the world.
When we talk about all this with the finance crisis, I read one of your articles where you put it very straight that what happens is that the taxpayers, they pay a lot of tax to the governments and the governments, they give the money back to the banks so the banks can lend them out to the taxpayers again.
Yes.
And this is just, you say all the world is almost falling to pieces, all the school systems are devaluating and buildings are not great anymore and we suddenly have 100 billion kroners in Denmark, for instance, to give to the banks. It's kind of perverted, or it's the power structure still fighting to keep its place in position, or?
Yes, it is very. We are told that somehow the financial system needs to work, and then it seems like that becomes the highest priority for many governments, and it's basically that's the tested method all over the world to give maybe 100 billion the kroner or dollars or whatever to the banks, and by itself that will not solve the or reverse the downfall, I would say. I think the time has very much come to where it will be absolutely necessary for people to develop ways of sharing and to look at the concrete, the tangible reality. What are the real needs of people, and look away from these kind of abstract considerations to say they need 100 billion something, and then in order actually then to keep a control of the flow of money and direct production according to the needs of that way of thinking.
Yes, and when we take that into consideration and say that you were right the last time, then probably it would be good to pay attention to what you're saying, because you might be right again. It's close now. We need to prepare people. They need to be prepared. They need to start now to have considerations of what is coming, because if they are not ready when it comes, they will be very depressive.
Yeah.
But if they start now, they can really be prepared, and it will not be a total collapse for them, psychological or with their feelings and so.